on to join us. As I was just as we just started, um, I'm sure this will be a lot less pressure than going on Dragon's Den or
Yeah.
or recent activities that you've been on. So hopefully, it'll be a lot less pressure for you.
No, no, it's yeah, like I was saying, it's often doing that. It's like any pitch now, you just go into like, yeah, this is this is a step down.
Yeah, no worry. I won't take too much offence to it. I'll see if I
No,
can.
no, as in not you, as in any
I'll
pitch.
try and play the role of Theopathetus or whatever they've got on there these
Well, he
days.
wasn't there, right? So yeah,
But so thanks for coming in to join us. Those that are listening are probably thinking, what on earth is going on? Just to give a brief kind of context, anyone that does listen to Design Truth will know that I'm not actually a designer. And the minute I start talking about design, I do sound quite stupid quite quickly. And the world that I know is recruitment, so hiring and not firing, but kind of helping companies get the best possible design talent they can, kind of touching wood. And the idea behind videos like this is that we're kind of trying to open up that process or give a little bit more visibility to what that actually is. So designers may understand this lingo, but when you first take a job on, there's a thing called taking the brief. So that's hopefully a couple of words that designers are nodding their head to. So this is a perhaps slightly dumbed down and hopefully a slightly less boring version of that kind of process, just to give people complete visibility on the jobs that we've got on, the companies that we work with, their vision, the proposition of why you should join those places, because designers looking for work will definitely resonate with this. But how many times have you looked at a job ad online and it just says the word "our client is," there's no real detail of what the actual job is, who the people that you're going to be working with, what's their design process like, and all those kind of bits and pieces. And if you had all that kind of information, or as much of that information as possible up front, you can really determine whether you think this is a job for you, or maybe a mate of yours or a design pal that you knew 6-7 years ago at university or something. Hey, there's this job here, maybe it sounds a bit of you. So kindly, a recognised voice from the podcast has come to join me to talk a little bit about some stuff that's going on over at Nolii. But to those that didn't listen to the episode, and I will kind of leave the relevant links in the relevant places, it'd be great if you could just introduce yourself again, and we will steer people down the podcast path so they can listen to it in a little bit more kind of detail after this.
yeah, no, for sure. So firstly, thanks for having me on again. So I'm Asad. I'm the founder of Nolii. I've been in the kind of telecoms and tech space for 12 years. I'm a qualified optometrist by trade, actually, so I did something quite different at uni. Come from a family of optometrists, actually like 45 optometrists in our family. It's a scary stat to give you. But my dad was an electrical engineer, so we had like loads of tech around the house, and we used to repair loads of PCs as a young kid. And so that's how I kind of fell in love with tech over time. And then third year uni, I saw the iPhone launch, and that was kind of my moment where I felt I wanted to go into this space. I could see it kind of really growing fast. I was only 21, 22 at the time when I started a business, and I've been in that space. I've got now a portfolio of businesses in that space for what is it now, 12, 13 years. And first of all, just excuse the background. I'm in the trenches at the moment. We're opening a store in Shoreditch for Nolii, actually, just around the corner. So I'm just on site, really.
Yeah, this is proper, like when you
proper
this is
startup, right?
This is proper startup. This is like, and I'm sure we'll talk about this over the next kind of 20-25 minutes or so. But this is like, your background at the minute is just a very great visual representation of the kind of the life that you're living at the minute, where it's up and down. You've been trying different rooms over the last 5 minutes, things like that. So that gives you a good insight in terms of what's going on with you. But the first kind of question I had is, so we try and keep this to five kind of key questions. But
Sure.
I'm slightly concerned in my own mind that every time I do have a conversation with someone, I quite often go into different tangents. So
Yeah.
I'm going to try my best to keep this at 5 questions because it just sounds a bit more better than 27 questions with. So,
Yeah.
uh,
Perfect.
I mean, how important is design to Nolii? Because not every kind of CEO, director, whatever, really understands the value of design or truly appreciates it. So, just quickly, how important is it to you as an individual, and how important is it to Nolii as a brand?
Yeah, well, to answer the question, I think if I can tell you a bit about my story with design.
Mm.
Like I said, I'm an optometrist. And I had a business which was in the kind of fashion space, which, if you know, fashion design is very different to industrial design. And so my perception of what design was in this, from a product point of view, was my experience in fashion. And it was actually we did in that business, we did an industrial design project with an agency in 2000 and I think it was 2015, 16, and that just blew my mind from like how and what design should be run almost as a process. So really thinking about how people use products, how you can improve the experience for people, how you can make it better, or how you could use design to optimize costs, or how you could use design to as a tool in whichever way you're looking to approach it. So that was my kind of first experience of it, and ever since then I've just been fascinated with the process that we've gone through, I guess, over the last few years with Nolii. And we've been through different stages of design. So I'd call the first stage being the kind of like the inspiration and coming up with the concepts, which led to the first products launching in October. And now we're in the phase of design where we're actually optimizing and thinking about where future behaviors are going with whether it's hybridized working or whatever it is, and how design can be used in that space. So design for me is everything. Like, it's everything for our business. And we actually, now we're looking to do a fundraise probably end of this year, early next year. And what I'm saying to early stage, or when having conversations to investors, I want to build a design business. This is not a product business. This is a design business. It's not tech business. It's a design business. And design will be at the heart of this business. So to answer the question, just directly, it's everything. It's everything. Yeah.
Good. So before we just go into the kind of nuts and bolts of the job, maybe if you could just quickly paint out what this vision of this company is going to look like over the next couple of years. You've talked about you kind of just open up a new retail space. I was looking at some of the new kind of bits of sustainability that Nolii were looking at quite recently, and kind of thinking back of when I got sent some products a long time ago, and so how it's different. It is from when it kind of started out. And I suppose more importantly, how this particular hire is going to make an impact on that. So what's the next couple of years going to look like for Nolii as a brand?
So the vision for Nolii is to really build a customer first tech brand, with design very much at the kind of heart of that. But we want to get closer and closer to the customer, and that's what we're doing. The store that we're opening, increasing our throughput and getting closer to the customer.
That's the thumbnail sorted.
So, getting closer to the customer as much as possible, and getting close to that customer means that we know where those pain points are. It's not just a SKU. When I look at the accessory space, and have been in it for a long time, there's a lot of the brands are SKU filling. They're filling a hole where there should be a wireless charger, there should be a higher amp battery, or whatever it is. I want to approach it from the other direction, which is, what does the customer need? What's the use case now? Where the market is going, and basically designing our products around that. So in terms of the future growth of the business, I can see our kind of model being 2 or 3-fold. So whilst I've kind of started to talk about a customer-facing company, retail is still a key part of our strategy, and it's something that we're going to explore as a distribution channel. In terms of getting the brand out there, retail is fantastic because you can partner with a store estate which has 200 stores, 100 stores, 50 stores, which will be a lot harder for you to do just doing it online and pushing online. But online is going to be at the kind of center of our strategy. That combined with stores. So even though this is going to be our first store, I'm really confident it's going to work. I've got a lot of experience in retail. And we will use the combination of online and retail to then hit different territories and grow, basically using that model, starting off in London and Southeast, and then national, and then after that we really want to go after America. That's the next strategy, next part of the strategy. And you would have seen from Nolii's as well as being a functional brand, it's an aesthetic brand.
Absolutely.
Right. And so color and CMF materials and everything are really, really important. And that will play through in the store as well. So every touch point needs to be about all of those things. And then finally, as you mentioned there, sustainability, you shouldn't need to compromise on it at all in today's world. There are certain certain products, there are certain fire and safety risks that come with certain plastics. So in certain areas, the industry is kind of playing catch up a little bit. But we want to build, come back to the point around building a customer company. That's what our customer wants. They want, a sustainable business. And also we, with anything we do, we want to be making products which, we're mindful and being responsible about how they're made and how they're disposed of.
Yeah, and if you need a visual representation of Nolii and colour, I currently have a teal coloured wireless charger to an orange kind of USB kind of charger that kind of plugs in. So colour is a key part of the brand, and I suppose everything you kind of stand for. But it's interesting that you don't see retail being dead, and you actually see it being quite a key part of your strategy, whereas there'll be other companies that would perhaps have kind of reversed that psychology particularly over lockdown periods, and kind of pumped up in terms of e-commerce. But you see retail as a great way of getting to know your customer better.
Yeah, so it actually comes from doing the 2 London design festivals we did, because I was on the stand for both of those and literally spoke to, I don't know, thousands of people, and the passion you get from people being face to face, it was incredible. And it made me realize that Nolii is a product and a brand which is tactile. It is about the little mechanisms, it is about the little feelings on it. So I think our retail business, people want and desire, though, I think, on top, not just a shopping experience, but actually an experience, right? So to make our retail work, we need to be not just solving a problem in terms of selling products, but also creating a real experience as well. And I think also there's also maybe an opportunity for us, like for example, we're doing Airpods cases. Why can't we sell the Airpods with the Airpod case, for example, and start to think about it like that, or the AirTag for the AirTag case? And so I think there's huge growth in the retail channel.
Yeah, cool. So in terms of what you're after, so we scoped out what the kind of the baseline proposition of what why you'd perhaps want to come and join Nolii at this kind of period in time. But what is it that you're after? What is it that's going to help you execute that vision, I suppose?
Yeah, sure. So coming back to the point around like trying to get as close to the customer, I want us to be able to be agile in designing stuff, iterating, refining, going back to the customer, getting their thoughts. At the moment, we're working with various agencies, which is great as well, and I still continue to see us continuing to work with the agencies externally. But I want that, I want inside an engine for ideas, for new concepts. I want us to be constantly thinking about products. I often wake up thinking, there's this great idea or that great idea, or someone within the team will have it, and it's having that person to start building our design ethos internally. When
we spoke last week, it's very much this kind of end to end. You're kind of going into the next phase of Nolii where you're building an internal design function, which should, in theory, propel the brand even further forward.
Yeah, and if we could just touch on the Airpods that we're just about to launch onto pre-order, process has taken us about three months or so.
Okay.
But we've had what we did was we threw out a few concepts to the community, got them to vote on it, and then we threw out a CMF finish, got them to vote on it again, basically we've had over 2,000 responses or something like that. So it shows the kind of level of interest there is, and how we've actually launched and started that product. Actually, how I want to work on a lot of our products. Maybe not everything. Certain products will have more intellectual property, and actually we need to hold it back a little bit more. But actually, with those everyday products, it's really important we speak to the community and we involve them in the process. And to do that, you need speed, because you can't then go back to the community 2 months later, after you put out an initial concept. The community expect and demand you to keep them up to date. And in building a community comes with big responsibility, that the community will start to demand. And so that, that's also part of the role, is someone who is, wants to have that direct relationship with customers, like to be speaking to people, not necessarily just one-to-one. So they, someone who wants to have that relationship with people as well. Because, I think if I reflect on fashion design, a lot of it is done in an ivory tower without enough interaction with people. And, fashion is very much of the, inspiration of the designer, right? Whereas I think in industrial design, it's a lot about use case, a lot about, how people use things, and with things changing so much in just life in general, I think it's key.
Yeah, it's when you mention speed there, it kind of touches upon the kind of characteristics of this hire. Are they someone that, I always think when I do a little bit of stuff with startup, I call it the startup mentality of, are you prepared to physically put the product in the boxes kind of mantra?
Yeah.
So it was a good example of like that speed and ethos. And when you're looking at maybe your portfolio or something right now, and you're thinking, is that going to be the kind of environment where I can get a really good turnaround of getting product to market and exposure of, Far East kind of manufacturing, all those kind of different bits and pieces. So I'd imagine that is that a big part of the kind of the background of the individuals that you're after? Or it's difficult to always give a years of experience, but just the kind of background of who you think would work really well within Nolii and executing that vision. Have you got an idea, not in terms of companies, but just general background of the kind of person you'd be thinking about?
Yeah, so I think definitely 3 to 4 years experience from a product point of view plus.
Right.
It would be great if it was in a connected type of industry, but it's not necessarily, essential. Someone who, has, experience of industrial design, designing products which, are solving problems, in clever ways, working with other agencies as well, potentially or working within an agency. So understanding how to manage different stakeholders and how the whole kind of process works. Yeah. CMF, is super, super important. So, someone who's got, a really clear or, really passionate about CMF and, colors and materials, the different finishes possible. Someone who really enjoys that side of things, doing renders, mocking them up, sharing them, getting ideas. So I think, all of the above in that sense. I think from a making point of view, and actually engineering and all that kind of stuff, we've actually got a really good foundation in the business. It's easy to dream up ideas, right? But it's really hard to make them. So it's whilst there's a lot of experience now in the business around that, I think it's important that someone has that basic understanding.
Yeah, I suppose that comes on nicely to I don't know if I'm on question 4. I've kind of lost count myself, but who would this person be kind of working alongside? Who I know you've made some recent appointments in like head of marketing and kind of fleshing out the business. So who are they going to be working really, really closely with, as well as yourself?
Sure. So I have a portfolio of businesses. What I've been lucky to do with this business is bring in some of my group structure into this business. So for example, we have an operations director, who works across my businesses. So they look after the shipments that come from China and things like that. Finance person who looks after invoicing, but this person would have touch points across those kinds of people, but also into head of marketing, who's, in internal within the business. We've got marketing executive. Externally, we have a chap called Daniel Barnes, who's someone who works very closely with the business, and he has his own design consultancy or engineering consultancy, and that would be someone that this role would work very closely with. In addition, we have a number of agencies that we're working with as well. So again, they'd be quite involved with the agencies, and then finally we have creative directors who are basically branding experts. So they're actually the founders of a branding agency called Made Thought. So Paul Austin and Ben Parker. So they are the creative kind of guardians of the brand. So I think quite a bit of time would also be spent with them. So we do have a few different stakeholders, but what there is in the business is, it's got that infrastructure and that that framework in place for someone to come in and plug into, and in that sense, they've got that environment around them as well, with high performing people who want to do stuff.
Yeah, there's an element of a structure there, because sometimes when you think startup, it's a bit like there's no real plan, or it's all a bit kind of organized chaos. But here there's a system in place of people that are doing their job effectively, and I do know Dan personally is a very good kind of design mentor and leader to kind of work alongside. Previously Joseph and Beryl and the like, so someone that you can learn a lot from as well, particularly if you're at that 3-4 year experience mark. Just quickly, have you got any insight in terms of what the process will involve in terms of interviewing, so designers have a bit of heads up in terms of what they should expect this process to look like from their end?
Yeah, for sure. So first stage interview with myself, and I just really like to kind of get to know the person,
of course.
So just on an individual level, about them really, is what I spend most of the time.
And if they're a fan of tennis, it helps.
Tennis or Man United.
If you're a keen Wimbledon enthusiast, it will go down well. It will go down
well.
If
you're a Liverpool supporter, don't bother.
Don't bother. And actually, don't actually bother ever contacting me either as well, because if you're a Liverpool fan, then I do not want to be working with you. Jokes aside. So the first step with you, and then where does that lead to?
Yeah, for sure. And I think also within that meeting, we'd go through like portfolio and things like that. I think following that, we would probably have more in-depth discussion face-to-face, and try and also get some of our creative directors down, or Dan as well. And that one would be a kind of, bit longer, really kind of, get that portfolio out, bounce creative ideas, see how the person thinks. So, that would be a kind of slightly longer session.
Yeah. And if you're watching this retrospectively, so let's say tomorrow you have the interview, bring some physical stuff with you as well. I always think that goes down pretty well. Don't just bring bring a bit of stuff you've worked on in the past or whatever. But go on, sorry. So second interview,
just like things. Just things that you're passionate about, like what you're interested in tech, what you've observed about the industry, and share your insights really. The beauty of this industry is pretty much everyone loves it. So just tell me about what you think about the industry. I think then the third stage would be meeting with other members of the team as well, so that the person can also get an insight into what the culture is like, what I'm like, to work with, what the various people are, where some of the challenges are. I think it's really important that everyone kind of comes into a new role with open eyes, and then from there, if all being well, we go through to the selection, and we kind of move forward into offers and all the nice fun stuff.
All the nice fun stuff. So cool. Where is home to you guys? Where are you guys physically kind of based, and what's the expectation around remote working? Or someone said to me the other day, blended working. I don't know if that's the new.
Blended working.
I don't know if that's the new phrase we're all going for. But what's the Nolii stance on that?
So it's kind of varied. Like I if you asked me 3 years ago, as with a lot of people, I think you would have been like, no, you have to come to work, right? Like, you can't work at home. Like, what's that all about? I think, my mindset has completely changed. And I think the most someone comes into work, a guy called Nick in our business, is a head of business development, and he comes in like 3 times a week. Marketing guys come in once or twice a week. But we're members of TOG, the office group. So we've got a really nice office in Great Portland Street, in the Fitzrovia. I love the Fitzrovia area. It's just not in the hustle and bustle, so you actually get some work done. But you're not too far away as well, so if you want to kind of walk down or even take the train to like Shoreditch or whatever. So that's where the office is, and it's very flexible. Having the TOG membership also means that you get access to the wider network. So I often just like to kind of pop into one of the other locations. I personally can't work from home. I really struggle. So I'm always in the office. So yeah, look, it's really flexible. I think the key thing is we operate, with working remotely, we put in processes and regular check-ins and things like that. So we have all kind of hands meeting every week, and everyone kind of gets involved. We have everyone's in the office once a week generally, so then you get that kind of social interaction. And we operate everything through Asana, Slack, all that kind of stuff. So then tasks get done, projects are, managed well. With our manufacturers, we have a weekly meeting, in the diary, Zoom every single week on a Monday from 9 till 10, 2 different kind of contract manufacturers we work with. So yeah, I'm a big believer in trust and autonomy. That's
so the individual will potentially dictate that. They may say, I kind of want to be in the office a couple of days a week, or they may say the thought of going back to an office again is the worst thing I've ever said. As long as the work's being done, then that's the kind of mantra. Cool. Is there anything else you want to add at all, whilst you've got the ears of the industrial designers in the UK potentially listening? Anything you'd like to add at all, or not?
Yeah, just to add to that last point, I think just creativity can just come in just the most unusual places, right? And I think in this role, because it's going to be a creative role, right, as well as a project management role in some ways. Creativity, in that and how you work, I'm really open to. I think sometimes people just need to get away and go away for a week and work from somewhere and be remote and whatever it is. So yeah, just wanted to add that for that. I think just generally, Nolii is at a very, very exciting kind of
point in the journey
now.
Yeah,
because we've got over that initial, is it going to work startup? And I've been here a couple of times, and at the early stage when we launched in the pandemic. The launch was delayed due to factories shutting down in China and things like that. So we were 7 or 8 months late. And when you launch, and you're always concerned, right? Because you don't know what people are going to say, how they're going to like the product, not. And we've got over that, and we've actually got marketing channels that are working now. We know how to reach our customers. We know what works in that way. We know what colors are working. We know what people like, what they don't like, and where the growth opportunities are, where the channels are. So we're in a much more informed and better place than we were 7-8 months ago. And so therefore this is a very informed hire as well. We're making this hire at the right point for us as a business. And I think what I'm really looking for is someone that really wants to come in and make an impact, really drive this. I think there's I talked about autonomy, and I think that also comes with someone driving it and not having me telling them what to do, but almost like them, really driving the role. So I think, on that side of things, being a customer company, also I'd say that, it'd be nice if you were comfortable being on social media, engaging with customers, video content, all that kind of stuff. I think is where the world's going to. So I think that's going to be more and more important. So yeah, I think we're in an exciting place. I think there's an opportunity to create some amazing products. We've got an amazing manufacturing kind of supply chain, people around the business, a really strong foundation in the brand, and the brand in place, which doesn't need much work to kind of scale it. So yeah, it's an exciting opportunity for the right person with the right mindset who's really passionate about tech.
Yeah, brilliant. And I'm hoping that over the last 15, 20 minutes, you're starting to get excited. So what I would say is if you do want to apply to the job or you want to know a little bit more, you can listen to Asad for an hour talking about Nolii if you rather than listen to him talking about 20 minutes if you scroll down a few more episodes on the podcast. But also if you go onto our design directory, you'll see Nolii on the map, and that will link you through to a slightly more sophisticated kind of job advert or job description, which covers the kind of the basic nuts and bolts of it all. And of course, we look forward to seeing some portfolios and CVs that come across. Thank you for coming on to join us and to sharing the vision as well. I think that's what's exciting about this is that, you know, CEOs, founders, directors are coming on to share the vision and the proposition rather than just here's a list of bullet points of what I'm after. And I'm hoping that a few of you also go out and perhaps even buy some Nolii products as well, which would always
There's
help.
a sale starting on Thursday, by the way.
There's a sale on Thursday, right? There's a sale on Thursday.